Welcome to All About Arsenal. I'm your host Tony, and in today's video, we're going to be discussing about the curious case of the Arsenal number six. For the past 5 seasons, Thomas Partey has been a very consistent player at the club, but as we all know, he is currently at the crossroads because we are not certain as fans whether he's going to stay at the club or move to greener pastures. All we know for sure that right now he's still negotiating his contract with the club, and no one knows what the final outcome is going to be. All we know that we just have a couple of days to when his contract officially ends, and if he doesn't sign a new deal, then he's gone. So in today's video, we're going to discuss about a couple of things, starting with Jorginho's move to Flamengo ahead of the Club World Cup. We're going to talk about Zubimendi, who has finally put pen to paper on his move to Arsenal from Real Sociedad. We're going to touch on the Thomas Partey contract situation, and we're going to talk about Lucien Agume, who has been linked with the move to Arsenal from Sevilla. So Jorginho left the club to Flamengo this summer, and he had to go ahead of Club World Cup. So he let go of some of his benefits, I think a couple of weeks' salary and all that, just to make sure that he made that move. Bearing in mind that his contract was officially meant to expire on the 30th of June. But since his move to Flamengo, Jorginho has nailed the first team place as expected, and he has played in the first two games that Flamengo has featured in the Club World Cup, where they have actually done very well. In the first game against Esperance de Tunis, Flamengo won the match, I think 2-0. Then in their last game, which was the most stunning, they beat Chelsea 3-1 after coming down from a goal behind. I would think that is the red card that Nicolas Jackson got that kind of played a role in that, but it doesn't still matter. It's football. And Jorginho has been very exceptional since he moved to Flamengo. Right now the Club World Cup is kind of different. I like the new format. Back in the day, it was just the teams in Europe go all the way to the semi-finals and play like maybe a team that played in the playoffs or something like that. But in this new format, it's kind of a whole lot different. They are like it's two actual teams. So you're talking about the best from Africa, the best from Europe, the best from South America, the best from North America, and of course Oceania's best, which is Auckland FC, that have been the whooping boys of the tournament so far. But since Jorginho moved from Chelsea to Arsenal, there was a whole lot of backlash because there's that expectation that folks from Chelsea are not that good in terms of the folks that we had that weren't good enough. We talk about William Gallas, we talk about David Luiz, we talk about Will, yeah, and there's so many other ones that didn't turn out well. So when we actually wanted to sign Jorginho from Chelsea, bearing in mind that we missed out on Moises Caicedo, folks were not happy. Honest, I actually wasn't happy as well, but I have to give him the benefit of doubt. Jorginho didn't play many games for Arsenal, but in the handful of games that he played, he was very consistent. And one can just remember the game against Newcastle, where Jorginho was basically unplayable. He did so well in that match. He dictated the tempo, his passing range was excellent. And of course, he didn't really nail down the first team place. Obviously, he moves ahead of Thomas Partey and Declan Rice. But anytime Jorginho was someone on the pitch, you could see him giving his all. Off the pitch, he was a very, very consummate professional. He was not like one of those types that were complaining about lack of game time. I'm sure he was been mentoring most of the lads and training and stuff like that too. So the club didn't renew his contract, but Jorginho left us. Yeah, I think in good terms. You can't say that he didn't leave in bad terms. I left in very good terms when he moved from Arsenal to Flamengo. And I wish him the best. So far, he has been doing so well in the Club World Cup, and I expect him to play many more years with Flamengo before he hangs up his boots. Now, on the elephant in the room, which is Thomas Partey's contract situation. I remember a couple of years back, I think the last season, yes, he was linked with moves to Saudi Arabia, and we're thinking that he had a year left. So him having a year left was very clear. Either you sell, you renew, or you let him go for free. Mateta was kind of declared that he wanted Partey to stay at the club, and I was thinking that okay, that was not a bad move. Partey has been doing so well for us, so why do you even want to sell him in the first place? So the move to Saudi Arabia didn't work out. there was the confidence that, okay, we're going to negotiate a contract with him. I didn't expect it to go all the way till the end of June. I was thinking that if the club wanted him to stay, they'd have negotiated a good contract with him and that would have been sorted. But as it stands, we have just a couple of days left, and it seems like Thomas Partey is going to leave the club or is going to stay. Right now, the thought process is that he's going to join the warm weather training in Spain. But if he doesn't renew his contract, then clearly he will not be able to join the preseason in Singapore. I know we're going to Singapore, then we're going to play the Premier League series, I think. Then, of course, we have the Emirates Cup before our first match of the season against Manchester United. You know, the fixtures are already out. And Arsenal's fixtures are very crazy. We need someone like Partey to be around. But if for some reason we can't get Partey, bearing in mind that he's going to leave, then so be it. He's 32 right now, and he's going to basically get his last huge payout. I was thinking that maybe he might still go to Saudi Arabia, but he's saying that he's happy in London. So if he's happy in London and he's still, struggling to get it sorted, then I don't know. Right now, Andrea Berta has confirmed new deals for Gabriel. He's also confirmed new deals for Miles Lewis Kelly. So it's a case of, do you really want Partey to stay? As it stands, I don't think he's going to get a pay bump. I'm guessing that it will actually be the same terms on his contract or even something lower. And I don't think he's going to accept that. So it's something that we have to put at the back of our minds, that we might not have Partey anymore. But we'll just wait. If he doesn't stay, then plans will have to come into place on what to do next. I would expect that the two major options would be to either get a youngster who would understudy someone like Zubimendi that's coming, or get another Partey-like figure, like an old experienced individual who is now going to spend more time on the bench, be content with a couple of games, but feature mostly in the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. That's where I think we're going to edge towards. I'm not certain yet, but we just have to keep our fingers crossed on the Thomas Partey thing. He might still stay. I want him to stay because if he stays, that would mean that Arsenal will not necessarily have to go into the transfer market to find someone else. As it stands, we've secured Zubimendi. We're about to secure Kepa Arrizabalaga from Chelsea. That was a very strange one, 5 million release clause, but hey ho, I won't mind that. And of course, there's the issue of Benjamin Sesko and Victor Gyökeres that we're still struggling with. And that's going to take a huge chunk from our transfer budget. Obviously, Arsenal doesn't want to pay upfront. You might probably want to stagger the payment of Sesko or Gyökeres. But as it stands, Thomas Partey is the business of the day and we need to secure it. But if we don't, then Arsenal has to now make a clear picture on what they want to do next. Yeah, to more happy news, Arsenal has finally secured Martin Zubimendi's signature for a move from Real Sociedad. This was one that we knew was done, but at some point we're not certain anymore because there was the time when there was some speculation that Real Madrid were linked with him. I took it with a pinch of salt, by the way. But what happened there was basically Zubimendi went for an interview in the Nations League match against Portugal, and he spoke about how Xabi Alonso is his idol. And Xabi Alonso was the head coach of the Sociedad B team when Zubimendi was still coming up in the ranks. So he was kind of just being in adulation of his former boss. And all of a sudden, we've seen all reports from newspapers like Marca and the rest saying that, remember he's about to hijack the deal. They already know what his release clause is, they're going to pay for it. But then again, there was also another story that was brewing when they were saying that Sociedad were trying to align with Arsenal on the structure of the deal. So we know that the release clause is 60 million euros. And Arsenal were not willing to pay that. They wanted to just stagger it, pay cementally. So they were going to agree for 64 or 65 million euros. So that in mind meant that maybe Arsenal probably pay like maybe 20, or I don't know the exact figures, but what we learned was that Arsenal was going to make instrumental payments. Then they were now saying that Zubimendi's team wanted Arsenal to pay it sometime in July. When I hear some speculation that, oh, they're trying to balance their books, so they want the thing to come in late June. But with the news now that Mendy is about to go for his medical and June still active, I'm expecting that maybe this deal will actually go in June, not July. So we'll have to wait and see. But what we know for sure is that Mendy is an Arsenal player, and I'm so elated by that. One thing I love about Mendy is how well he progresses his play. He's not a player that will dull the game. We'll be having challenges when we drop deep. It's really a party, in all honesty, where he holds onto the ball before making his mind on what he wants to do. And I think that most teams would kind of come back, so we don't lose that transition. But in Zubimendi, we have a player that progresses to play real fast, and that will allow the likes of Declan Rice and Odegaard to move further up the pitch. One thing I like about Zubimendi as well is that he can play as a single pivot, so that way he can drop deep as a third centre back and move up the pitch too. Spending quality time in the center of the pitch, spreading passes and all that. And that's something that we have been looking forward to have. Mendy is a very good player, and I'm very certain that we're going to get the best of him. So with Partey leaving and Jorginho gone, I'm guessing that Mendy will have a nailed first team place. So it will probably be an injury outlet that can make him miss out from first team football in the team right now, because he's going to go and walk straight into the first team, and he's going to do what we expect him to do, be a very, very wonderful six, and we just can't wait to see him in action. Obviously, he's going to come ahead of the preseason, so we're going to get a first glimpse of him in the games against AC Milan, and the games against Tottenham and Newcastle. And of course, I'm according to Charles Watts, we're going to play Athletic Bilbao in the Emirates Cup. So there'll be a lot of games to see how these men play, and we're looking forward to that. Obviously, he'll be very key for us when we go to Old Trafford to take on Manchester United in the first game of the season. Arsenal has been linked to the move for Lucien Agume. Agume is a defensive midfielder that plays for Sevilla. I don't know much about him. Honestly, I don't watch La Liga that much. And even if I want to watch La Liga games, I probably focus on Real Madrid and Barcelona. But I'm sure that there are times when I tend to see a couple of games. I like Valencia, I like Villarreal. But Sevilla, not much. I don't watch them that much. Even when Sambi Lokonga went there, I had the opportunity of seeing a couple of games they played. Well, Agume is a nice player. He's young. He doesn't have an expensive release clause. He's kind of the kind of player that will take time out to, learn the ropes at Arsenal, adapt to his teammates, train with the first team before breaking in. There'll be a couple of games in the Carabao Cup, in the FA Cup for him to play. And when I look at Agume, what comes to mind are players like Alex Song, players like Francis Coquelin, who started, gradually into the first team, and with time, they now moved on to, playing regularly for the club. So that's something I'm looking forward to seeing. If Partey leaves, then we cannot go into the season with Mendy at the only six. That doesn't make any sense. We would need to get in a new defensive midfielder who understudies Mendy. And Lucien Agume looks like a very good one. I read somewhere that his release clause is 17 million euros or thereabouts. So it's not going to be an expensive signing for the club. That's something that we should look forward to having if it works out. Typically, Arsenal is the kind of club that also looks from within. Just like what happened in the case of Mikel Merino, where we lost Gabriel Jesus to an ACL injury. Then we lost Kai Havertz in the one weather training in Dubai, and we didn't have a 9. Although we had no choice in the sense that it was after the transfer window had closed. But Arteta and his team had to, try hard, play through a couple of games there. It didn't really work out as a false 9. So what I'm saying in essence is that if for some reason, although I don't believe this is going to happen, Partey leaves and we don't sign a new 6 in addition to Zubimendi, then we have to look from within, and no one else comes to mind but Declan Rice. Declan Rice is someone that has played as a 6 in the past, even in his West Ham days, and even a couple of games for Arsenal. But I don't think this is going to happen because Declan Rice is kind of doing very, very well in the left edge role. He still drops deep to support the defense, but he's kind of more influential as an attacking player. So I would expect that Arsenal are actually going to the transfer market to sign a new six if Partey doesn't sign a new deal. That's all from me today. I believe that Thomas Partey will probably leave the club once his contract expires. We just have a couple of days left before the month is gone, and the rules of football, if you've not signed a new contract on the 30th of June, then you're a free agent. So if that happens, then I guess I should prepare myself for a tribute for Thomas Partey. But till then, I'll never say never. Of course, we've had scenarios where everything looked bleak only for the club to announce that a player has signed a new contract. Nketiah comes to mind. It was very evident that he might have left on the free transfer, but I don't think his own went all the way to June. I think it was sometime in May that he finally agreed a new deal. After a couple of seasons, he went to Crystal Palace. So losing Partey will be a bitter pill to swallow, but that's football. Hey ho, we move. Right now, I'm just hopeful to see if he can still sign a new deal. Having him around will be more economical. Yes, because we won't have to go out there to sign someone like Michel Agume or whoever we need to. But we'll just wait and see. Thanks everyone for listening to today's video. Please leave a like and subscribe. I'll continue this journey together. Cheers.